It's a good AGam in Kansas morning. Good morning. Let's take a look and see what's coming up today. First, we learn about the recently held Kansas Veterinary Regenerative Symposium and the launch of a new company, Enso Discoveries. Then Sam Capoun catches up with Dr. Clay Mathis, Director of King Ranch Institute for Ranch Management, and Gary Fike, Director of Commercial Marketing for Red Angus Association of America. We'll end with Dr. Chris Blevins and Dr. Beth Davis, who discuss causes of and treatments for coughing in horses. Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
I'm Dr. Corey Orava, veterinarian with Enso Discoveries, and I'm the chairman of this first annual Kansas Veterinary Regenerative Symposium. This symposium was the brainchild of actually Governor Brownback over a year ago. He was on a visit to a human clinic, which is the Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center, and they got talking about veterinary applications. Well, with the vet school in Manhattan, he thought it would be a great idea to have a regenerative medicine conference here.
Kansas is one of the destination places from Manhattan to Columbia for the animal health corridor, so there's a lot of research and innovative technology going on throughout that corridor as well as the state. And so our involvement with the K-State Veterinary Diagnostic Lab as well as the Kansas Regenerative Medicine Clinics came together so that we could put this symposium together for the veterinarians.
Initially, the university was taking over, but unfortunately it didn't really go very far. And the project was almost dead. And at the 11th hour we were called in and we said, you know what, we think there's still time to pull this off. So we put an organizing committee together. There was 8 people on it. We had Lynn and Carrie from the Kansas Department of Agriculture. We have John and Ken from the Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Then we had doctors Gary Anderson and Sharon Ganta from K-State University, and then myself and Pat Farley from Enso Discoveries.
We are very excited to have it here in Manhattan, which is also home for the Kansas Department of Agriculture, and our partnerships with K-State also led into this symposium. We have had a great turnout for veterinarians to come to Manhattan and experience this conference. So we'll be kicking off with a welcome from Coach Snyder.
This conference was put together in pretty much record time, and I'd have to say we're really satisfied. First of all, with the quality of speakers. We have absolutely some of the top names in the industry speaking today, but also the reception we've got from veterinarians throughout the Midwest. Most people don't know this is actually the first veterinary regenerative medicine conference anywhere to take place in the Midwest, and so really excited about it.
This is the inaugural year for the Kansas Veterinary Regenerative Symposium. We hope to continue this with the participation level we see this year, as well as the interest that veterinarians have called saying they would have come if they didn't have a conflict at this point. So we plan on making this an annual event. It will more than likely stay the first part of June. We may tie it in with a different conference to hopefully get more bang for a person's registration buck, and hopefully we will continue this in years to come.
Hi, I'm Annette from Jackson's. Our annual gigantic sale will be this Saturday, where every plant in the greenhouse and in our nursery, from annual to perennial, shrub, tree, or water plant will be half price. Don't miss our biggest sale of the year.
WIBW Jackson's Greenhouse Garden Club members can shop Friday, Saturday, and Sunday when they present their membership card. They'll receive the 50% sale prices.
Jackson's Greenhouse has what you need today. We started farming in 1970. It was harder work then than it is now, a lot more physical work and the wear and tear on my knees and my body. Now here I'm 70 years old. Well, I started having knee pain here 4 or 5 years ago, and so I was looking for a stem cell clinic, and lo and behold, my good friend John Farley and Ken Wood, who'd been customers and friends for a number of years, opened their clinic, and in about 2 months my heel was a lot better, and then at the end of 3 months and then going on 4, why my knee started making significant improvement, and it's sure been a blessing, because before I had the stem cells, well, I'd be driving a tractor, and if I sat in a tractor for 2 or 3 hours, when I got out I'd have to stop and get the kinks out of my knee and shake it, and today that's not a problem.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or for more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Very excited to be at the first ever Midwest Animal Stem Cell Conference, and Enso Discoveries, which is the new company that was spawned from Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center, which today consists of myself and Dr. Corey Arava, is a big sponsor of this. We're very excited to launch Enzo Discoveries, which is a company that will focus not only on the human side to some degree, but largely on the veterinary side too. Our goal is to create genomic products, regenerative medicine products, and diagnostic products. The idea is to be somewhat of an incubator, in so much as we'll develop our own products, but we're looking to partner with other people who we know have great ideas, great technologies, but don't have the time or the wherewithal to take it to the next level and commercialize it. So we've done a great job at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center, taking a concept and getting it up to now, 3 years later, the largest standalone stem cell clinic in the country. For me, that's what I do well. I take it from start to a certain level, and then I'm probably not the best. Well, I'm fortunate enough to have 2 partners, John and Ken Woods, who's really good at taking it to the next level, is taking over now as the president of Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center, and it's perfect timing. And then I'm gonna go do what I do best with Dr. Arava, which is do another startup, right? And the startup is gonna be, again, we're building a very nice laboratory. So we'll be able to do our own testing. We'll be able to take speculation and turn it into, potentially vet the process and see if it makes sense. If it does, we'll talk about commercialization. I happen to have lived in Europe for 5 years, and I know in the animal world, Corey knows people, so we actually know people all over the world that we can either license products from, or take products we find with people, or develop ourselves and try and license them to them. And we think the world now is our customer.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome. It's rodeo time in Sabetha. Come to the 61st Annual Northeast Kansas Rodeo on July 16th and 17th. Steer wrestling, calf roping, bull riding, and more. It's an exciting event for your whole family. The Sabetha Rodeo. Don't you dare miss it.
Stop for the legend. Buffalo Bill Cody earned that title right here in Oakley. Celebrate its pioneering history and unique geography in 2 sites, the Buffalo Bill Cultural Center and the Fick Fossil Museum. Carnival, rodeo, tractor pull, demolition derby, grandstand shows, and more at the 55th Annual Logan County Fair, July 18 through 23. 83 and 40 and I-70 crisscross this hub of the Western Vistas Historic Byway. Stay for the day. Discover Oakley.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
This segment brought to you by Heinen Brothers Ag. Farmers helping farmers by offering quality aerial and ground application, fertilizer, ag chemicals, and anhydrous ammonia. Call today to protect your crop yield.
Welcome to AGam in Kansas. I'm your guest host, Sam Capoun, and today we're at the annual BIF convention in Manhattan, Kansas, and we're here with Dr. Clay Mathis. So it's my understanding that you're going to be talking tomorrow. So give us a little breakdown of what you're going to be talking about.
Sure. I've been asked to talk about the cow herd of 2036 and what will make our cattle production systems more efficient and profitable at that time. And particularly to address where do we focus our efforts to make these operations profitable. And so I'm going to take a look backwards in time to look at some of the things that have happened in terms of some of the commodity prices, the input cost in particular, and how they've changed. I also want to look at some of the things we know about our current business and some of the trends that exist. It's really difficult to predict the future. But if we look at some of these trends and we extrapolate that forward, I think we can identify some things. One is labor is going to be probably a lot more expensive then. We can expect energy costs are probably going to be higher than they are now. And even when we make adjustments for inflations, I think these dictate to us some of the things we need to think about from a production system level. I think it's really important that we recognize we've made great strides in genetic improvement, but in the future, it's not just the genetics that are going to matter. It's going to be great management that makes the difference in the profitable and unprofitable operations.
Now, why is it important to look at the whole ranch management industry or everything as a whole instead of just little sections?
Sure. Well, if we look at the profit equation, we've got the calf prices, so we've got the revenue side, we've got the expense side of things, and that's where we get the function of net profit. If we look at a cow-calf operation, even on a particular ranch, it's not just that operation. There's also farming often, there's often wildlife, and so those different operations can spread some of the cost of the cow-calf production system. We also have labor use. Are we using that labor for one enterprise or multiple? But anything that we can do in the future that lowers those costs, spreads some of the fixed costs of the operation, it's going to help us in terms of making more money in the future.
I think you're totally right. I think that people are going to need to focus more on everything as a whole rather than one part. And then finally, how did you come up with the categories such as the labor, the energy, and all that
Sure.
stuff so people understand where that information came from?
Well, when we break down the expenditures of a cow-calf operation, we know that there's the big three: feed and labor and depreciation. They make up over 50% of a cow-calf operation's expenses. And so I tried to find indicators of those. Corn as an indicator of feed, oil as an indicator of energy costs, which actually spreads all aspects of the expense side. Also looking at labor, so we can look at minimum wage as an indicator for that. It's not perfect, but if we look at our current political environment, we can expect that labor is probably going to be more difficult to come by, and it's going to cost more to get those people. So we've got to build production systems then that require us to have fewer people and still operate cost effectively.
That's the importance of technology.
That's right.
Well, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers, farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
AGam in Kansas, brought to you in part by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Welcome to AGam in Kansas. I'm your guest host, Sam Capoun, and today we're at the BIF convention in Manhattan, Kansas. And I'm here with Gary Fike. Gary, tell us a little bit about your job duties.
I am the Director of Commercial Marketing for the Red Angus Association of America. I work out of my home, and I work with several of our employees on helping those who use Red Angus genetics market their cattle to the most optimum marketing method they can get, the best price they can get.
So a big buzzword in the industry today is source identification. What is your guys' take on that, and how does that work?
We have, the Red Angus Association of America actually has the oldest age, source, and genetically verified tagging program in the industry.
Wow.
Since 1993, we have enrolled over 3 million head of calves into the system. The program verifies at least 50% Red Angus genetics, the source, the origin, the ranch of origin, and the age. And so we think it's a great way for people to be able to know where their beef came from down the road. We have some grid programs available, so the traceability aspect of that program is in place.
Perfect. So how many people are you typically seeing doing this?
Well, we are right now averaging about 150,000 calves enrolled, and that varies, of course, by the size of the producer. We may have as few as 10 calves to as many as several hundred calves, but we know from the data that has been shared with us by one of the largest video livestock auction companies in America that over the last 5 years, in a study done by Kansas State University, calves that were sired by Red Angus bulls brought the highest price per pound of any other breed type.
So do you think because of this data that more people will start using this in the future?
That is the case, and we already know that since last year, because of that data we feel, and the reliability and the integrity of the program, we've increased tag sales over 20%. It's super. It's been a great program.
So in terms of cost, tell us about that.
The cost is very cheap. There is no upfront enrollment fee. The tags are 99 cents a piece, and all you have to do is have bulls registered, transferred to your name. You call the Denton office, and there's a young lady there by the name of Chessie, and she will enroll your cattle into the program.
So and how can you get a hold of her?
You can call the Red Angus Association of America office in Denton, Texas, and it's on the website.
Perfect. Well, thanks for joining us today, Gary, and
thank you.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop liquid crop nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
The new Better Horses Network is worldwide, presented by Lucas Oil, featuring worldwide radio and TV with iconic hosts like Al Dunning, Sharon Camarillo, Ernie Rodina, Lindy Birch, and Craig Cameron. With American Cowboy, Horse and Rider, Brushy Creek, Cavenders, and Ride TV. Worldwide radio and TV, the all-new Better Horses Network.
I think it really extends your home out to the outdoors, and Mark always had kind of a vision of what he wanted to do with the yard, and so he envisioned this kind of outdoor area, the waterfall and things, but when Blueville came in, they had some really good ideas of how to place it and how to do different things that really enhanced the project. So.
Yeah, over the years we've grown to really enjoy our outdoor living space and developed a great working relationship with Blueville.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
AGam in Kansas is brought to you in part by SureCrop, liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
Hello and welcome to Horsing Around. I'm Dr. Chris Blevins at Kansas State University Veterinary Health Center, today joined by Dr. Beth Davis. Welcome.
Thank you.
Dr. Davis is a professor here in the equine section and head of the equine section here at Kansas State Veterinary Health Center. Today, I think would be a great aspect and topic to talk about just the horse that is coughing and maybe even causes of a horse that would cough would be a good place to start because, you know, horses are traveling and there's a lot of horses around potentially coughing and maybe some issues with that. So what would be some causes of horses to cough?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question and one that certainly is relevant at this time of year because we do hear them do that. So I think as horse owners and as horse professionals, we all know that horses are going to cough here and there. So an occasional cough, really, we probably can brush off, not a huge deal. I think where we get concerned is where we have a horse that continues to cough, or perhaps even a horse that isn't quite themselves and has a cough to go along with it. So we often break that cough down into, do you think that it is a result of infectious disease versus non-infectious disease? And so when we talk about things like infectious disease, we might be talking about something like a respiratory infection with a bacteria or perhaps a virus. So things like a fever that might go along with it, which could result in the horse being a little bit not themselves, and maybe they need some treatment, so maybe we need to take a closer look and have a veterinarian take a peek.
Okay, and then as far as, so we kind of talked a little bit about that of infectious, what would be even some, I guess, non-infectious causes of coughing?
Sure, absolutely. So that would be the horse that they kind of seem like themselves. Maybe they're not quite right, but basically doing okay, but you do hear this cough. And sometimes that's going to be with exercise. Sometimes it's not even with exercise. You just see them at rest or out in the pasture by the round bale and they've got some cough. And so when we talk about non-infectious respiratory disease and a cough, we think about things like maybe what we call inflammatory airway disease, where we have some inflammation of the lower airways, or we can even have a horse that has what we call recurrent airway obstruction, or many horse people are familiar with the term of heaves.
Okay.
And often those break down into a little bit of an age-related problem. So we more commonly see that inflammatory airway disease in the young performance horse that's out and working. More commonly see recurrent airway obstruction, or a horse that has heaves, as maybe a mature to even a little bit older type horse.
Those are good points, because I think in some horses that are out there and they're showing them, they're thinking maybe it's heaves. It could be, but the other thing would be, you know, based on those things and getting maybe some further diagnostics, and obviously consult with their veterinarian on a lot of those. What would be some potential, I guess, kind of quickly, what would be some treatments or things that maybe the owner should be thinking about to help with those non-infectious type issues?
Yep. Another really good point. Again, I agree with you. I think that when we've got that horse that has a persistent cough and we're trying to work through that, really good time for us to go ahead and have a veterinarian come out, make sure there's not anything underlying that's infectious, because sometimes that does require things like antibiotics. But if we're sure that they do have non-infectious, just airway inflammation, and maybe it's a young horse with IAD, often working with their veterinarian for things like anti-inflammatories. And those anti-inflammatories might include things like corticosteroid therapy. And we often are going to do that in combination with if there's any sort of trigger in the environment. Because sometimes what happens is they maybe had flu or they had rhinopneumonitis, a little bit of a viral infection, they got over that, now they have some persistent inflammation, and maybe they're staying indoors because of weather conditions, or maybe they live in a pen with a round bale and they've got some dust exposure, and that makes things a little bit worse. So often it's going to be maybe some medications that the veterinarian can prescribe along with some environmental changes. And that's true with our older horse that has heaves as well. I think many of us are familiar with that situation, but trying to minimize dust, try to have really clean hay or even grass pasture as an ideal forage source, and then working with the veterinarian on the optimal medications that that horse should be receiving.
I think that's all great points, and I sure appreciate that, Dr. Davis. And I think that the biggest point to even take home would be consult with your veterinarian if you have any issues with your horse coughing, so you can kind of figure those things out. And again, if you have any other questions, just give us a call here at Kansas State Vet School, and maybe Dr. Davis or one of the other specialists in internal medicine here at the Veterinary Health Center can help you with that. I'm Dr. Chris Blevins with Horsing Around, and we'll see you around.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. To see this show and past episodes of AGam in Kansas, go online to agaminkansas.com.